Are you dropping out of the governor's race?
Yes.
Why?
Pure and simple. About 2 weeks before we decided to actually enter the race, all the folks on our little staff got together and we talked about all the pros and cons. We talked about all the things we were going to face. And we knew that you guys are not going to be the friendliest during the course of a campaign to me. So I not only have the media to deal with, but the Republican establishment and a potential candidate on the Democrat side that has unlimited money. So it would be tough. This would be a tough race. So we thought, in order to have any hope, we're going to establish a threshold, and we did. And we said it was $150,000, which was a very modest threshold by January 15th, because this was like November, and so we thought that will tell us a lot about whether we actually can get this done. Well, January 15th came. Guess what? We had half of that.
I have to dissect that a little bit. Let's start with the Jared Polis unlimited funds reference.
Yeah.
You knew that before you said you were going to run for office.
Well, absolutely, and that's why we said we're going to have to establish some sort of threshold to know that we can actually eventually make this work. Because we looked at where we were 4 years ago, what we had raised exactly the same period of time 4 years ago, and it was like 3 times this. And so we thought, well, it's it's a little later in the process, but we should be able to do this, and it will tell us whether or not we've got not just financial support, but general support. Now, we got 1,000 people contributed to that little bit of money that we got, and that's always wonderful to have a lot of individual contributors. At very low amounts, it's not so great. It takes a lot of people, and we just don't have it. I can't, look, I've said a million times on this race, on this campaign, I do not want to win a primary just to lose the general. If I can't figure out a way to make it work, we won't run. And this is getting to, we're only 5 weeks away from the caucus. So it came down to the wire. We looked at the threshold we had established. We didn't make it. And what did that mean? Is there any way we could rationalize it and say, well, but it's this or that or the other? No, I couldn't figure out anything else to do. I didn't have the support, the financial support to make this work.
The other part of your initial statement, blaming the media, seems like a hollow argument that appeals to the base, but may not be factually accurate.
Oh, it's absolutely true. It is as true as you and I are standing here. You guys hate me as much as the Democrats. You in particular, this station in particular, not you individually, but your station and I mean, and the Denver Post and the Gazette Telegraph. Let's face it, I know where believe me, this is not my first rodeo. I know exactly where my opponents are. And you guys, especially at Channel 9, are the top of the heap.
I don't agree.
Okay, but you haven't been on this side of that microphone when you're not asking me the questions.
I hate to ask, can you cite specific examples that stand out to you?
There's so many, it's hard to narrow them down. No, you guys have not. Listen, talking to you, especially Channel 9, every time I do, I think to myself, why are you doing it? They are never going to give you a fair break, and you're better than most. And so I'm here talking to you. But believe me, if I had to go over to the station to to talk to any of those other folks, I wouldn't do it. Because no matter what I say, no matter how I present myself, it doesn't matter. I know what happens. You are a little different, and I've told you that. I told you that the last time we talked. You're more fair.
You say money and media. Does any of this have to do with the recent polls of the popularity numbers of President Trump?
Well, I'd like to tell you that I wish he was, I wish the generic ballot in Colorado were better. It only goes to show you how much you're going to need financially. there is no way a candidate anymore can make it work, whether it's any other Republican. I mean, they're still going to have a lot of money to overcome both the generic ballot in Colorado, which doesn't look very good, that's for sure. But from my point of view, I am not a typical Republican. I think most people know that, or at least I would like to be able to tell people who I am, what I believe, and that takes money. So if you don't have it, then the only thing that happens is the other side has all the ability to create the kind of, devil out of you that they want, and I would not be able to defend myself. And so, Trump's numbers, I believe I could overcome simply because I am not a typical Republican. However, I like Trump's, I like a lot of the things he's doing, but hell, I was the only one that, Amendment 64, I'm the only Republican that ever even came out in support of it. So there are plenty of things that I think I could sort of emphasize about the fact that I'm not a typical Republican. But in order to do it, you have to have far more resources than we've got.
Are you being forced out for any reason?
I'm sorry?
Are you being forced out for any reason? Has anyone told you?
She's pulling me out.
Sure. Are you being forced out for any reason? Has anyone told you need to
not.
leave?
No, nobody has even. I mean, other than a lot of nasty people on Facebook, but I don't really look at most of those. And no, absolutely not. I'm not going to tell you that my wife was upset about this decision, but nobody. And I heard today somebody said, "Well, is it the flu?" The flu was bad. It was bad. It's not that bad. I lived through that.
You're out of the race. Who are you voting for?
The Republican.
And which name Republican?
There's several. I don't know yet, buddy.
Who's the closest one that aligns with your beliefs?
That remains to be seen. Yeah.
Anything, Grady?
No, that was great.
Okay.